Spence, then I do see Castano. Excuse me, I do see Castano being a player because he's undisputed at that point if he beats Charlo. So I do see him as a better option than Keith Thurman if you are, you know what I'm saying, in Earl position.
If he punches, just keep your hands high. They're telling him not to counterpunch. Boom!
Yep, you know what time it is, man. This is your favorite channel, man. This is CTV. This is Chin Tuck Boxing. I'm your boy, Jay Slay. Say what up to him, man.
What's up, everybody? Thanks for tuning in.
Most definitely. We got a great show for you guys today. If you don't know what you tuned into, we call this segment Chin Check. This is where we check you guys' chin for boxing news, boxing coverage. Sometimes we hit a little bit of money in you guys' pocket for boxing odds. But this time, we got some news for you that's going to check your chin. I think it's going to be a great show. I'm looking forward to this show. Of course, it's about none other than Terrence Bud Crawford and Earl the True Spence. You know, with a little bit of 154 undisputed talk also involved with this conversation, man. It's going to go a lot of different directions, so y'all, as boxing fans, try to keep up.
Castano made an interesting remarks today on his press conference. He said something about after he wins undisputed that he wanted to fight with Earl Spence. Interesting to talk about it and see what both of us think about it.
Yeah, I can see it going one or two ways. I can see them doing a Castano version of Keith Thurman. You know how they were trying to throw Keith Thurman in the mix early before, and pretty much Bud shut that down. Say, I don't want to Keith Thurman fight. Keith Thurman don't want to fight. I'm going straight into it. I want to go straight into it. But I think Earl would do the same thing to Castano, to be honest. I don't think Castano would get any of Earl's attention at this point. I think the same thing Charlo just finished doing his press conference today. I don't know if you've seen it, but he got tired of reporters asking him about Terrence Crawford. He was like, man, I'm fighting Castano this weekend. Y'all start asking me about Bud. We're not in the same weight. Nobody else asked me no questions about Bud. I kind of see Earl not being as direct as Charlo, of course. You know, Charlo got more of an outgoing personality than Earl. But I do see Earl taking that similar approach and kind of just, brushing it off the shoulder. Because he already made it known what fight he wants. He already told PBC what fight he wants, and he don't want no excuses. Earl was from that pedigree where he said that he wants Bud next. So I don't really think Castano would hit his radar, to be honest. But I do see your point, though. Because another topic of today's discussion was also what kind of maybe make you correct in this situation. I see a lot of guys now questioning whether Bud would even take the offer that PBC offers him. Let's say the offer comes out and Bud turns it down because it's not an offer that he agrees with. Me and he was having this discussion backstage off camera about scenarios and how the world would see it, and who would take the negative response, blase blase. If that happens, then I do see Castano being a player because he's undisputed at that point if he beats Charlo. So I do see him as a better option than Keith Thurman. If you are, in Earl position, I do see a fight with him. But what you have to ask yourself if you PBC, is that a riskier fight? Because think about it. He just beat Charlo and become undisputed. You talking about fighting, in my opinion, a smaller version of Charlo. Because why I do think Earl's a better technician than Charlo. They have similar styles coming from the same camp. They train a lot, so you see a lot of similarities in the way they fight. So you as an Earl Spence fan, how confident are you if that is the fight to be made? If Castano, let's say Castano go in here and not make easy work of Charlo. Say if it's the same fashion as the first fight, but he hurts Charlo a little bit more because he hurt Charlo last fight. Are you confident that Earl going up in weight should take that fight first, going up in their weight, or you think he should maybe take that Keith Thurman route if the Bud fight don't happen?
Of course, the number one fight we want is Crawford and Spence. So
yeah,
I mean, we acting like that fight don't exist. I think he'll be fine. I don't think it's a tough fight for him like people think it is. Castano. I think it'll be tough for the first half of the fight, but I think Castano is kind of tailor-made for Spence too. I think, and then I saw him in that last fight with Charlo. It could have been one fight, but he gassed out in like the 9th or 10th round. If he gassed out with Spence, he in trouble. And I think Spence is more of a technician. I think he more shot with his punches. I think he's not as wild as Charlo, so he won't leave himself open, and he won't be throwing too many looping shots. His shot's gonna be more tight. So I think it's a good fight for him to win. I think I like his chances better with Castano over Bud. and I think that 154 is gonna be his better division. So, if like I said, if the fight can't get made with him and Bud, which I don't think they should have a problem at this stage. I think it's still a go right now, but I think Castano is not gonna be as much of a problem people think he's gonna be. But I ain't saying it's gonna be a wash either.
I have to do film study on it. I'm not the type of guy that like to talk before I do study. But I will say this: I do agree with you. I think Bud is the harder fight to prepare for if you Earl. But seeing off the top of my head, without doing film study, seeing how Earl struggled with fighters like Kell Brook early, he struggled with, of course, he struggled with Sean Porter. That was pretty much a knockdown away from a draw, in my opinion. Seeing those styles of fights, that's Castano's game plan. He's gonna be in your chest. He throws a lot of punches, and he's a heavier puncher than Porter is. So tailor-made for Spence, I don't agree with that. I don't think so either. I think that fight is a little more dangerous than you leading up to be. I think that's on top of my head now. I think Castano, if he fights the way he fought Charlo last fight against Errol Spence, it's a tougher fight than you think it will be. That's just me off the top of my head. I think while Charlo is slower, Charlo does throw a lot more looping punches. Charlo is not as defensively responsible as Earl. I give you all of that. He's a better technician. I give you all of that. I think the size advantage. Well, I think Earl's a big welterweight. I think the taking punches from bigger fighters, the being used to the weight, all that shit will come into play, especially in your first fight up at that weight. This is kind of the same way I feel about Bud fighting Charlo, in my opinion. I think for Bud to go straight up into 154 and fight Charlo, while I think it's a like you said, it's a tailor-made fight for him because Charlo throws looping punches. Charlo is slower. He's still a bigger fighter who used to taking bigger punches, who is the overall bigger man, who you have to let that. If Canelo Alvarez fight this past weekend did not teach anybody anything, it is weight classes for a reason, and you have to get accustomed to the weight. I've been saying that since the Errol Spence and Terence Crawford fight been talked about since me and you start talking about it. I said the longer it takes Spence to fight Earl, and the longer it takes Spence to fight Bud, and the more comfortable Bud get with the weight, the harder the fight would be for Earl. And now that Bud is used to the weight, he put on the muscle for the weight. I think that fight is a better fight now than when it would have been when Bud was smaller. I feel the same way about Spence in the Castano fight. I think if he had one or two fights, maybe a lower fight, maybe a Hurd fight first, especially that Hurd fight. That Hurd fight with Spence would be a great ass fight in my opinion. And throw Hurd in there, and then you throw a Castano in there. I feel a lot more comfortable.
I'm gonna ask you a question. What would be the best fight for him at 154? Right, Charlo, right? Charlo is the best fight at 154. I mean,
for Bud
I mean, he's just the best fight at 154 right now. Charlo. Most people would agree with that. He sparred with him all the time. My opinion is he's already accustomed to 154-pound fighters because he's fighting the best 154-pound fighter in sparring. And on top of that, if you read between the lines, and it's just my opinion, if you read between the lines, it seems like Spence get the better Charlo when they spar. Because Spence is more Charlo's more passive when it comes to Spence. And Spence is a lot more aggressive. And like even when they said about them fighting, he was like, shit, with the right amount of money, yeah, we can fight. And at first Charlo was like, no, I ain't fight, that's my brother, I wouldn't do that. But then, now he kind of like, yeah, it's right, the money right. But I can tell in the way he's talk, he really don't want that work with Spence because he probably already know what's gonna happen. So I think, yeah, I get what you're saying, but I think he already accustomed to 154 because I think he's fighting and sparring with the best 154-pounder in the world. So I think he already know what he's capable of doing at 154. I could be wrong, but that's how I feel about it.
I'm from the old school cloth, man. I think what happens in the gym stays in the gym. People who sparring is different. Sparring, you got on 18-ounce gloves sometimes, 16-ounce gloves, you got on headgear. You know what I'm saying? You could have worked out that morning and be sore while you in the ring sparring. There's different levels. When you're in that ring with the lights and the smaller gloves on, it's a different fight, man. It's very much a different fight. It's a reason why people like Mayweather was sparring bigger guys on a regular with bigger gloves on. So when he got in the ring with guys his size with smaller gloves, the punch doesn't hurt as much. You know what I'm saying? I mean, it's a punch. It's gonna hurt, but if you can you can take it a little better. That's why you spar the bigger guys, because the punches are heavier, just like you fighting guys with smaller gloves. I agree with you though. I do think Earl does get the best of Chalk. I think it goes both ways, in my opinion. I'm pretty sure I can see Earl getting buckled a couple times against Charlo. You know what I'm saying? Especially the way Ugas he can crack, especially the way Ugas buckled him. So I can definitely see Charlo buckling him in sparring. But with that being said, man, this is your favorite channel, man. This is CTB, Chin Tuck Boxing. I'm your boy Jay Slay. Say peace to him, man.
All right, everybody. Remember to please hit the like button so other people can see the videos. Subscribe. Hit the notification button. Comment. Let's keep this channel going. You know why? Because we love boxing and you love boxing. But most of all, God, peace, and love, and we out of here. Take care.